This is episode 7 of the Foley and James podcast, and this is actually going to be part 3 of the USA Summer Camp Travel Stories series.
That's a long name.
Yeah, this episode's going to be talking about the check-in and check-out days, which are two of the busiest and most important times for a worker at a summer camp. Let's talk about check-in day, because that is the one day of the week where, regardless of your job, the tables are turned. Like, everything's up on its head. You know what?
Yeah.
How does that start?
Check-in day is crazy. It is what it is. It is what it says. It's the day where everyone checks into camp, and especially for new people coming, if they've never been here before, it's so important to get off on the right foot for everyone, not just for the staff from a professional point of view, but for the kids. You know, they want to feel comfortable immediately. As you come in, and we always have quite a few tables set up in one of the big halls. So there'll be like A through M on one side and N through Z on the other side of names to check in. You'd get a wristband. The wristbands would mean different things. So if you're a tie-dye, you're one of the youngest campers there. There was all the different colours that would signify what dorm you'd be staying in. And as well, if you got a green wristband, it means you're a day camper, which means you're not staying overnight. And a couple of things like that.
And the campers had to have these on at all times. There was no excuse for taking them off. No.
So we were able to know, it's like, oh, that kid, he looks like a tie-dye, but no, he's got a different colour bracelet on. Okay, that's fine.
He's because the tie-dye is the youngest kids. They were never allowed to be unsupervised at any time. But the older kids were allowed, say, to walk to the basketball court by themselves if it was like free play time or whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the 8 to 11 were the tie-dyes, and they had to be supervised all the time.
Yeah.
And then, like, at that table as well, so some of the international students, campers, they'd take their passports as well, you know, just to mind them for them. Or would they do that at the bank? I can't remember. But one of the next tables was the bank table, where you deposit if you'd any money, or if the parents wanted to have a credit card on file. So if the kid decided last minute, oh, I do want to go to see Blue Man Group or something, which you wouldn't be able to decide last minute, the tickets would be all gone. But something like that, it's like, I do want to go. My parents have a card on file. Okay, we need an email from your parents to say it's okay. You get that, and you know you do it that way. Or they just deposit physical cash, where you could take it out if you're going to the mall, if you're going to the grocery store, or if you're going on one of these trips and you wanted to get popcorn or drink of water, soda, whatever. And then, at the end of the week, if there's any cash left over, you'd get it back. It was that simple. That was normally run on the Sunday, and then during the week behind the scenes run by the financial manager for the camp. And then during the week, physically at the table would be some of the counselors and coaches who have been trained how to do it, or have done it in previous years or previous weeks. You know, so it's not something that you want a brand new newbie struggling at. It is something to do with money, especially for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then next table would be where you could sign up for activities. If there was some activities that were added last minute, you couldn't see them online or whatever. Or if you just weren't sure, or maybe you wanted to be put on a waiting list for a certain activity, you know, so if someone dropped out, you'd get in. There was that, and then you'd pay for it there and all of that stuff. And then the next one over was the nurses' table, where this was normally quite a long line. If you had any medication, you had to go there and give it to the nurse. The kids were not allowed any medication. I mean, nothing. Not Tylenol, you know, like Anadin or paracetamol, nothing like that in their rooms. The nurse had full control over all of those, you know, just for safety reasons, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of kids went there, you know, a lot of them would have inhalers as well, obviously, and stuff like that. And then the final two tables were everyone. So if you were in basketball, you'd get a Nike basketball t-shirt, you know, or any of the sports, they'd all have their own t-shirts for the sports.
Yeah.
Like given by Nike, you know, you're obviously paying for the camp, and you're not just going to get coaching out of it here. You're getting a Nike t-shirt as well. So you are. And then the next one over was the linens one, where if you were staying overnight and if you didn't bring your own pillow, blanket, quilt, sheets, all of that stuff. You could rent them from the camp.
That was my job, man. That was me.
Yeah.
That was me for 6 weeks.
That's why I left it till last. That's why
it was all left till last. Like, I was at the last table. I was sat at the back by myself for... How long was the check-in on the title? Like 4 hours?
A couple hours, a few hours.
And I would sit there. People would come over expecting the linens to be free or already in their rooms. I'd be like, nope, $30.
Yeah, $30 and here's a bag. Here's a white bag.
Do it yourself.
But like most of them would have parents there. If not, they'd figure it out.
Yeah, no, of course it wasn't that bad.
No, and then we'd get them back at the end of the week. We'd make sure we did, and there was people on linens at checkout day to, first of all, make sure all of them got back, and second of all, make sure they were all washed and dried properly, ready to go for the following Sunday. So some of the counsellors who did stay, who weren't on an activity on a Saturday, they wouldn't have a free day. They'd have to get ready for the next week, because you'd only have a 24, 36 hour turnaround really if you wanted to get any sleep. To get everything ready. So that might involve moving kids from one building to another building, because if more young kids were coming in, you might have to move some of the older ones to the next building up and stuff like that. Which that whole the accommodations, the roommates thing was held down by one or two people, and they did a phenomenal job doing that. There was 1 week there was a little bit of a mix up, but that was solved.
But like the amount of names and room numbers and everything that they were just trying to juggle, and then there were obviously always problems with kids who didn't like their roommates and needed to move, and as best we could, not us, but the people who were doing that were adjusting that. I remember one kid had a roommate who had, I don't know if he had an actual problem, but he had real big mood swings anyway. And this kid didn't like him, obviously. No one would find that comfortable. So he said, sort of in confidence to his mum one night, he sort of rang his mum and said, I don't like my roommate. He's like shouts at me or whatever. And that obviously got back to the office, because as soon as a parent hears their child's having a bad time, they get straight on the phone and all this sort of stuff. And so we got him sorted. I was actually the one who was told to go and help him move, and so I just took him to one side and said, I heard that you'd like to move a room, and if you still do, then we'll do it now for you. And like he just jumped at the chance, which was a shame as far as it didn't work well with his roommate, but it was nice. It really made his camp. That could have ruined his camp if we just sort of ignored that and just thought, I'll just get on with it. It's not a big deal, But
and that's one of the things we should say as well. Like, we had to be so wary, especially on that first Sunday evening with new campers, and all through the Monday, all through the week obviously, but all through that Monday as well. It's like we needed to be on the lookout for campers who were just like sitting in the room on their own on their phone, stuff like that, because that's not what you want. You want these kids to try and be out and making a new friend or two or 12 something, that kind of thing, and having fun. And the worst thing from our kind of point of view in a way was that if there was any problem, that it got to the parents first. That's not the way we wanted to deal with it. It's like, look, if you do have a problem, feel free to say something to one of us.
Yeah, but they've all
we'll do our best to solve it then. Yeah, and that's the thing now. Yeah, of course, 20 years ago it wouldn't be the same, but now everyone has a phone, and all it takes is one text, and you have a parent screaming down the phone at you because the kid would say, oh, they have me in a room of my own. That's what the kid might say, whereas in fact it's like, no, you do have a roommate, and there is icebreaker games going on, or there is a few games going on. The TV's on downstairs. Go down and watch, and maybe try to make friends that way. There's ping pong tables in every lobby that people were playing, and it was never a case of they have me on my own, But that's how the kid sees it.
Yeah.
So that's how the kid relays it to their parents, and then we have the parents screaming down the phone, what are you doing, leaving my kid on his own? That kind of stuff.
That's not an over exaggeration either. Like, these parents really came in full throttle. They didn't like care if there was a whole other side to this, or that maybe their child was slightly misinformed or whatever. They would go in 100% fuming a lot of the time. So these guys in the office who were already stressed out enough had to deal with really like unreasonable behavior from the parents too.
Because check-in, that was a lot of the time was on check-in day, because check-in day was so busy. I mean, so busy. Like, what part of my job for the whole 3 years there was being a runner on check-in day, just going around. I had a golf cart, and I was going around putting out little fires whenever they popped up.
Yeah.
You know, it might be a simple case of bringing someone to a dorm with their luggage. That's the easy bit. Or else, oh no, I have to go and get this key because this key is in the wrong envelope, and so is that one, and then I have to go find this other kid who might have that key and stuff like that. You know, and they were some of the kind of common problems. You know, the keys in the dorms and stuff.
Wow, you really are.
Like I'm aware. Where's my medal? But you've heard of like helicopter parents, you know, who kind of like to be in the background, hovering around, trying to make sure their kids do well. These parents were freaking Apache helicopter parents.
I like that. I've never heard that term before.
Yeah, but you've never seen Helicopter Homer in The Simpsons, no?
That sounds like some sort of weird. I mean,
swinging your penis around.
Yeah, when you've got the helicopter and a male name, then that's just something different.
No, Helicopter Homer is when he takes a involvement. I think it's in Bart's classroom life, and he's outside the classroom, and he's like, "That's it, I'll help him do whatever."
Right.
And then he goes, "Helicopter Homer, away!" and he starts spinning around his arms like a helicopter, and then he just crashes into the lockers, and he just Black Hawk down, Black Hawk down.
Jesus. Oh my, that's so bad.
It's hilarious.
So what was that about it for check-in day?
That was kind of it for check-in. As I said, like we had the big meetings. Had the big meeting. We did evaluations for sport as well.
Oh yeah.
So we'd know. Now most of the time, say for soccer, we put them by age. But even within those age groups, there could be two or three different groups. You know, of level-wise, ability-wise. So we'd have a little evaluations on that day, and that'd normally give us a reasonable outlook on what the groups would be like for the Monday. So we'd split them up, and then by Monday lunchtime, we'd know almost immediately.
Just to put things in perspective, wasn't there a 16-year-old soccer player from Spain who was playing for the Atletico Madrid academy? Is that right?
Was there? Possibly.
Yeah, there was, and
Possibly.
like he was, so he wasn't the oldest one there.
But he was in with the oldest kids.
But he was so good, and so obviously things like that we would have to adjust. And likewise, I actually coached basketball for a couple of weeks.
That's right, yeah.
And there was one kid, I coached the youngest ones, the tie-dyes, and there was one kid there who was right on the oldest. He was 11, so he was on the upper edge of the boundary for that. And he was just far better. He was bigger. He was one of these kids who was just bigger, stronger, faster, and he was more skilled. But he was still lumped in with these kids, so he hated it the first week and just fucked around. Like he just messed around all the time, and it was unenjoyable for him and for everyone really. And so, you know, all we did is we just, because he's a kid and he's not going to just rather than go to the office and ask to be moved up or ask the coaches, he's just going to mess around. So we just took that as a sign, and we bumped him up, and it was not a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. That's that kind of thing. So that's what we did on Sunday, and then as I said, we had a big meeting in the evening to explain all the rules to all the campers. You know, a massive welcome essentially for everyone. You know, kind of opening talk. You'd meet the director, you'd meet all the coaches, meet all the people that you'd need to know, all the ATs, all the nurses, as I've said, and then we'd go back to your dorms, go back to your kind of floors and stuff, and then there'd be icebreaker games. We did ours when we were over in the oldest, not the oldest building, but the building that had the oldest kids. We always did them in the gym, just because it was one of the easiest things to do, really. And then Sunday evenings, we tried to get them to stay in their dorms and their suites and stuff, but sometimes you just couldn't. There might only be 30 kids in our dorm because they'd be the oldest kids, so it's just like, okay, go there, but you got to be back by 8 o'clock this evening. It's normally 9 o'clock or 9:15, but 8 o'clock this evening just because it's a Sunday.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. And that'll be it for this. We'd also have dinner that evening on the Sunday with everyone, which was often crazy because the new people coming in just didn't know where to go, didn't know where to sit, you know, that kind of stuff. We'd have had brunch in the morning, the people who are already there. But yeah, then dinner with everyone that evening.
Yeah. And that was a case of we had to make sure there were no kids sitting on a table by themselves. If there was, we'd either ask them what sport they're doing or what dorm they're in, and just move them to a table with some kids like that are the same, or just a coach to go and sit with them and chat to them, just so they don't feel completely alone on their first night.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then obviously we'd be patrolling the dorms and stuff, and same kind of thing, just making sure there was nothing going wrong, no kids on their own, that kind of stuff. That'd be our Sunday nights, really. I know I did that a bit, and then I'd be in the office other Sunday nights trying to sort stuff out. And every now and then, Sunday as well, because we had so many international students coming in, Sunday was airport runs and travel runs and stuff like that.
Yeah, again, you've got to factor that in. Counsellors and office staff are, driving the buses to the airports and doing all that stuff too.
Yeah, and we had we picked up an English guy once, didn't we?
I don't remember.
No, maybe it was me and this other person.
Nice.
Anyway, we did pick him up from the train station, which is one of the first train pickups I ever did. Or once, because kids came in and got a taxi, they got dropped off at the wrong summer camp, or they got off the taxi at the wrong summer camp because they weren't sure. So we had to go and pick them up at this other summer camp.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which was hilarious. But that was the Friday, and then that was the Sunday. I mean. Then we went through most of the week, and then the Friday was hectic again because it was checkout day. And same kind of thing, but this time we were dropping the kids to the airport. They had to come give us their keys back for the dorms, and then if they had any money left, we'd give that back to them. Any medication they'd collect from the nurse, that kind of thing. And that is checkout. Normally we tried to get it to begin from 12 o'clock through maybe 5 or 6 o'clock on Friday, but it could start at 10 o'clock depending on some airport runs and stuff like that. And that's it, guys. That was our check-in and check-out day. Mostly the check-in day, but that was a hell of a lot more hectic than our check-out days, which went a lot smoother. It was always important to make a first good impression, on the check-in day, and then we were getting rid of them on check-out day. Okay, bye. So, so you're probably listening to this on YouTube or on our podcast platform, which we'll eventually get to. But on our YouTube channel, there's a little red button that says subscribe. If you haven't done so already, please do. We're trying to build this up, and every little helps. I have a funny feeling someone else uses that motto. But so both myself and James are on Facebook and Twitter. I'm on Twitter at OCR Cove. James is on Twitter at TweetBelsey. I'm on Instagram at OCR Cove, and my Snapchat is Crazy Axel. Add us, guys, on all of those things. We're proud members of Team Follow Back. So I think that's it for now. But guys, please keep sharing, keep liking, keep commenting. If you see it on Twitter, retweet. All of that. It really helps us. So unless James has anything else to add to that,
you're an idiot.
I'm aware. Catch you next time, guys. Bye bye.